Missed your running goals this year? Here's how to start the new year strong. Let's be real about a topic that is often overlooked in the running world. What do you do when you're not meeting your yearly running goals? If you're feeling frustrated or embarrassed right about now, this is for you. So if you've crushed it last year, you hit some PRs or PBs, you surpassed your goals as a runner, you stayed healthy, and like you're on top of the world, you're on that runner's high. This training is not necessarily for you. And I don't think you should really waste your time listening to it because today I'm going to speak to those who feel frustrated. You might feel ashamed or embarrassed that you didn't hit your running goals this year. Let's be real, like none of us want to feel shame for not hitting a goal, but I know that it is the reality for some of us runners. And so what do you do about it? Because we're what we're not going to do is start a run streak the last couple of weeks of the year or to start the new year and kill ourselves and gain some consistency or mileage. That is not going to close the gap in your long-term running health and goals. And if you're having feelings about aging, getting slower, and what to do, how do you start the new year strong? And I'm not going to talk about, you adding in a bunch of intense running workouts in order to hit that goal. We're talking about perspective today. We're talking about insight and we're talking about mindset shifts. Full transparency, my year didn't go as I had expected in terms of my running journey, which I really outlined in depth, full transparency, about not hitting my half marathon race goal in episode 232. And the reason I couldn't run for 42 days for the first time in my 13-year adult onset running journey in episode 249 on the Healthy Runner podcast, I also know that I had a super tough year in 2017. That was during my first marathon training cycle. I was actually finishing my dissertation for my PhD. And, the thing that I really learned from that whole tough year in 2017 is that it led to some of my biggest wins in the next 5 years. And all because I leaned on the strategies I'm going to talk about today, they wound up leading to getting a 23-minute PR at the Cape Cod Marathon and going to finish the Disney Dopey Challenge of 48.6 magical miles a couple months later, actually running within a 4 minutes of that PR. And today you'll hear how to finish a down year with the right mindset, stay committed to your fitness and health goals, and use this time to reset and refocus so you can adjust to next year's plan based upon this year's lessons. And then I do have one very specific strategy at the end of this training that I think will be absolutely critical for you. So stay with me here, because if you've come to this Healthy Runner podcast and you're like, Duane, you told us you're going to help shift our perspective or mindset. Like, I need a strategy. Well, I think what you actually need more is a mindset shift than a strategy. Just trust me on this one. But I promise you to give you a strategy at the end and even provide you with something that I haven't made available to the public in over 6 months. So whether you're coming up short of your goals, whether it's consistency, miles, time on the clock, qualifying for a race, or things really aren't going as you had expected, I'm here to help you navigate this moment with gratitude, resilience, and strategy. And remember, if you're still staying active, you're making progress. I promise you, this experience is all part of your journey to success as a runner. And if this is our first meeting, I'm Dr. Duane Scotti. I'm a running physical therapist, coach, educator, and founder of Spark Healthy Runner and creator of the Healthy Runner podcast. And my mission is to preserve the health and longevity of runners everywhere by allowing you to get stronger, run faster, and enjoy lifelong injury-free running. And as a running physical therapist and coach for over 20 years, my team and I have provided these same recommendations I'm going to share with you today to help thousands of runners who are struggling with not hitting their goals and thought they were just too old for running. Okay, first things first, if you're not meeting your goals, I want you to know that it is okay. Every successful runner I know, including myself, there's our successes, right? Have had years where they didn't hit their targets. It's part of the journey. Welcome to running. Welcome to maintaining an active, healthy lifestyle as an adult. Not one successful runner I know who's been running consistently, let's say more than 5, 10 years. I'll give you 10 years, but really like 5 is probably more appropriate, that they haven't had a down year. And probably several of them, and here's the truth, because I've had down years, the down years typically lead to breakthroughs. The down years lead to recalibrations, the resets that are absolutely needed in every runner's life. Sometimes you need to break down to build back up. And these resets are necessary in your running journey. So if you didn't hit your running goals this year, welcome to being a runner. But also know that it's okay. It is part of doing business as a runner. Now, I didn't always know that. In my first down year that I can remember really vividly, I was coming off my first marathon training cycle in which I quite frankly didn't know what I was doing. And in terms of training, in terms of nutrition, I hit the wall during the race. It was a very painful 6 miles of cramping with such terrible experience that I didn't want to do that again for another 5 years. I just said, you know what? The marathon is not for me. Apparently, I'm not meant to be a marathoner. Like, it is just not my jam. I'll stick to half marathons. But what came out in 2018 because of what I went through in 2017 was so awesome. It was like the changes I made, the mindset that I had, that was the year I started to realize that running is so much more than running and strength training, because I had a solid strength training background as a running physical therapist, strength and conditioning coach, right? Like that was my jam. So, but I just looked at those two pieces in like building myself as a runner and advancing in my running journey. And there are 6 steps to growing in your running journey. So I was ignoring the mindset. I was ignoring the nutrition. I was ignoring the recovery, and I was certainly ignoring the race strategy pieces. So I want to remind you, and I want you to remind yourself that every runner faces these lows. And I'm telling you, the breakdowns, that's where the magic happens if you let it. So first off, like, we're just going to be okay. Sometimes it's a down year. And then you need to basically continue showing up as like the amazing human that you are. And the second thing that I want to share with you today is you've got to keep on showing up as that great ambassador who embodies what it looks like to have an active lifestyle and value health and wellness, right? Like, you guys probably sat down around the dinner table during the holidays, right? And everyone's asking you, like, what are you doing for your running? I can't believe you run so much. Can't believe you go to the gym, right? Like, you are that ambassador of what it looks like to have an active lifestyle. And if you look around in our society, right, you're probably looking a lot different. And you're like, wow, okay, a lot of people, I always am amazed every time I go to Disney, right? And you're just walking around the parks and you're filling up your water, you're making sure you're getting snacks in there, and yeah, people aren't doing that, and people aren't looking a lot like you as a runner maybe. And they have different habits, right, than what you embody as this kind of champion of like what we can do as a society when we are running, when we are maintaining an active lifestyle. And just because you're not hitting your running goals doesn't mean that you can't show up as the best version of yourself, right? Because we know when we are running, when we are active, we are the best versions of ourselves for our spouses, for our kids, for your friends, right? For your colleagues. They're all watching. And in fact, this is when your unique attributes are truly put to the test. Be transparent with your support network about where you are and where you want to be. Show them that setbacks do not define us. It's how we respond to them that matters most. You have to lead by example. And even if you don't have a huge support network, be a great example for yourself. So show yourself what you're made of here. Show up as the best self, even in times when you don't want to, even when you want to hide, even when you want to cry, but then show up as your best self. And this was something I personally went through as I went through this first injury, tore my plantar fascia, couldn't run for 42 days, right? Like this is literally my life, right? Is to share like how we do this as runners and stay healthy. I wasn't healthy for a time period. I wasn't running, right? But I still needed to show up as my best self for you guys, right? For my running community, for the athletes that I coach, for my team of coaches, for my family, right? Like I still needed to show up as that best self because I had some perspective, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I want you to stay committed to your vision and shift your mindset to keep showing up consistently, that taking action, leading by example, even if you're not feeling your best. If you're a parent, remember your kids know more than we think they know, right? And they are watching, right? They are watching and seeing how you're responding to not hitting these goals. So embrace the mindset shift. And as we do that, I do want to talk about the upcoming holidays. So at time of this recording, it is the end of the year. The holidays are a time for joy. They're not a time or a place to punish yourself for not hitting your running or your fitness goals. There's no space for, well, I didn't hit my goals, so I need to work harder right now. I don't get to take weekends off or get the pleasure of rest days. I don't get to enjoy a holiday meal with my family because I need to eat clean because that's going to make me a faster runner. I don't get the downtime of running because I didn't do what I said I was going to do last year. No, we are not doing that. We cannot let disappointment overshadow the joy of the season. And you deserve to enjoy this time with your family, with your friends. So I want you to make a conscious effort to be present and grateful for the moments you have with your loved ones this holiday season. So I want you to make that conscious effort to be present and to be with the ones that you love. And maybe you decide that you're going to actually take a full week off. That is okay. You're like, what, Duane? I need to get faster. I need to get stronger. I need to get in shape. I'm going to crush my goals this next year. Currently I'm not hitting my goals. You can take that last week of December off. Yes, you can. And sometimes pushing ourselves to walk away and start fresh with a new perspective and really reset is exactly what's needed. So maybe you give yourself permission to step away a little bit. So when January 1 hits, you're ready with a fresh perspective, a new attitude, and a new drive to get you to actually hit those goals this upcoming year. Okay, let's dive into the mindset that you need to finish as strong as possible and start the new year off on the right foot. And this is where gratitude comes in big time. And I want you to take a moment, maybe even a journaling moment, right? I love journaling. It's something I do, starts every day, finishes every day. before bed, do a low guided meditation, and then boom, that's kind of my routine. But this will help reflect on what you did really that worked well last year, right? Or this year, and what you're most proud of. Sure, you may not have hit all of your end of year running goals, but I bet there were some wins along the way. For example, like maybe you ran your longest distance you have ever run, could be a half marathon, could be a marathon, but you didn't quite hit the time goal on the clock for that race. But you ran 13.1 miles or 26.2 miles, right? Like that is an accomplishment. Most people fall short of that. So they think that they're going to do it. They sign up for this marathon, they start training for it, and then they're not consistent. They get distracted with the next fitness craze and they never actually run the race. Like did you did the thing. Or perhaps you started actually fueling your long runs for the first time, even though you didn't actually get faster. You still started taking care of your body for injury prevention, and consistently fueling your body will result in performance gains down the road. You still grew in your running journey by properly fueling, and that was maybe one of your goals. You may have to find them and listen. I've been in those moments before where literally I can't find like a positive thing, right? And what I have to do is go to somebody else and say with me, like, what are the wins, right? Like, what am I missing? Why can't I see it right now? Or I know why I can't see it. I'm in this like, woe is me mentality, right? Having a little pity party for myself. So maybe it's somebody else in your support network. Maybe it's a coach, a friend, a family member that can remind you of some of the great moments of the year. And it's also crucial to be mindful of why you didn't hit your goals. Because here's the thing, I don't want you to beat yourself up. I want you to give yourself grace. And I'm even telling you to maybe take some extra time off that you didn't plan to take off in December so that you can just let it go, right? Be like Elsa, right? Like just let it go. However, I am also being honest with you as your coach here, to be honest with yourself and really examining maybe why you didn't hit those goals. And the real reason, which has nothing to do with like beating yourself up. So the only thing that you need to make sure you do is not make the same mistakes twice, right? Because then we're never learning. You learn from what didn't work. You get your like key takeaways so it's not all wasted, right? And I do think having a moment of just saying, okay, let's just examine what happened here so it doesn't happen again. And this is like, again, in my whole injury thing, I did a deep dive and I shared that in the episode. And I did that deep reflection and, really got into what can I do differently next year, next time around, next marathon training cycle. And that's what I want you to think about. What can you do differently next year? It is important to reflect, and part of the planning for next year is examining what didn't work this year, what worked and what didn't work. All right. We can't just go into signing up for that next marathon race next year, put it on the calendar and be like, I'm going to hit this goal this year. If you didn't reflect on what didn't work next year, like you ain't going to hit the goal next year. So, yes, I do think that you should take this moment and also sometimes just getting it out of our heads, putting it on paper, and just leaving it there is also a great experience. However, when you do this, you need to also look at some objective data. Most of us, when doing this, tend to be quite emotional, especially if it is right after a race of ours that we didn't hit our goal for. So if you tend to go with your feelings first, make sure those feelings don't turn into the story that you tell yourself, which will not be good for your long-term running mental health. So if you say to yourself, I messed up here, I should have done this, I'm not meant to be a marathoner, I'm getting too old to get faster. This leads to feelings that you are not good enough. Those feelings can lead to some dark places. And sometimes, if you don't look at some of the objective data and take some of the emotion out of it, that's what can happen. So let's look at what the data shows. Pull up your training log. What does it show? Did you nail almost all of your hard workouts or long runs during training, but you came up short on race day? Then I want you to ask yourself why. What can you learn from that data? Where can you grow from the data? Take a look at the process of training. Did you fuel before your runs for the first time? Did you start strength training for the first time? Did you prioritize sleep finally? Like, stop making up stories about why you didn't hit your goals. And it wasn't your shoes, by the way. It is what it is. It happened. It happens. It's part of the journey. If you ran 80% of your easy runs too fast because you thought that that would make you a faster runner and you'd be able to hold that pace during your race and it didn't happen, like, hey, it happens, right? We all kind of make those rookie mistakes when we're starting out in our running journey. But what, you can do next year, so you actually take action, is maybe set a goal of running 10% of your easy runs a little bit too fast, where you get a little too carried away, right? You're like, beautiful weather day out there. You're just like, you're hitting that zone. Maybe you're listening to music, like that good song comes on, and you're just like flying. Um, this actually happened to me this morning it was actually a speed workout. So it was great that I was flying. But for those that just saw the Wicked movie, Defying Gravity came on, and it was just like, I don't think my feet were actually hitting the ground, but great song for those who are looking to do a little speed work, run a little faster, especially if some of the messages resonate with you. That's an aside there. So if you are running these easy runs too fast, like, it's not going to allow your body to recover. So let's say you ran 80% of your easy runs too fast last year. You set a goal to do 10%. Now you're going to actually allow your body to recover from your speed sessions, from your long runs, from your weekly mileage that you're doing consistently every single week, every single month. And you're not feeling drained from training, and you're not getting injured. So I want you to think about, how can you take the data that you're looking at in your training log, or the process, and the process that you followed as benchmarks, and then create some new goals and milestones from those. I love this approach because it really helps us make clear-headed decisions about what to tweak and what to do differently without all the emotion. So if you're an emotional person, which that can be me at times, believe it or not, uh, go to the data, and then finally look forward to next year. How can you ensure that you actually do hit your running goals by the end of next year? This is where we need to get strategic. And remember, I said I'm going to give you like one strategy. So we talked about having gratitude, and we talked about the emotion associated with not hitting your goals. We talked about shifting your mindset so you show up as the best human possible for those around you. But here's the strategy. And first, if you're getting value of this like mindset wizardry that I'm providing for you right now, hit that like button, as it will help me continue creating free content like this, which will help you in hitting your next running goal. Here is the key strategy to reset for the new year. You have to DSD. I heard this somewhere, but you need to do something different. If this year didn't go as planned, you have to change things up. You have to show up differently, do things differently, plan differently. There's no doubt about that. So maybe you need to reassess your race strategy. Perhaps you need to focus on calming the mind early in a race to keep your heart rate down, which prevents the effort level from really creeping up and feeling really hard only at the end of the race, so you can actually maintain that goal race pace that you're shooting for. Maybe you need to actually add strength training for running so you build the strength and the resilience in your muscles and tendons so you don't feel all the aches and pains, pulls, minor running injuries throughout your training cycle. It's not magic, guys. You can't just start running without a holistic approach to training and expect big results like a sub 4 marathon, a sub 140 half marathon time, a Boston qualifier. Maybe it's time to finally really focus on building that solid foundation for faster running. Maybe hiring a running coach to help you figure out where you're missing the mark and what your training schedule needs to look like with your busy work and life, family schedule. So maybe it's time to say, okay, maybe I'll bring in one expert next year in this one area. By the way, if it's stubborn running injury that keeps coming back, I'm your guy, right? Or could it be that you need to invest your time in leveling up your nutrition for running knowledge or working with a therapist to help level up your mindset? Or maybe it's time to really finally reach out to that friend and see if they can be an accountability partner with you in your running goals, or putting yourself out there to show up at your local run club group run. Like, there's no badge of honor in doing it all yourself. I know, like, running technically is a solo sport, right? It's not a team sport. We don't need many people. You can go do it by yourself. And a lot of us love the solitude. Like, I myself love the solitude of a nice run by myself. But maybe you need a little bit more accountability, right? You need a little bit more motivation. So reaching out to others around you can be super helpful. And you're just making yourself like stressed out, overwhelmed, and your ability to grow in your running journey is absolutely halted if you do not grow in the 6 steps of mindset, strength training, running plan, nutrition, recovery, or race strategy. And it doesn't have to be cumbersome. I know that sounds like a lot. And you're like, I already don't have time, right? It could literally be implementing 15 extra minutes a week, focusing on the thing that is holding you back as a runner from taking that next step, which could make a huge difference. So, whatever it is, allow yourself to learn from this year's experiences, mistakes, and challenges, and then make changes accordingly. Remember, it's not always about working harder. Most of the time, it's about working smarter. Also, keep in mind that in running, it's not always an upward trajectory, right? I really talked about this from the beginning, that it is a journey that you're on. And I don't know any successful runner that they're always going up and up and up and up and up. And because of that, we need to remember we're just going to take the judgment out and learn our lessons. It wasn't a wasted year. It will be such a wasted year if you didn't hit your goals and then you didn't take the kind of takeaways or learnings from that. You didn't grow from that. You didn't change from that. You will waste all of this year and the next year if you don't learn from the mistakes and challenges and be willing to DSD, do something different. Structured, consistent strength training specific for runners solves 90% of running performance and injury problems, stifling most runners' goals. So, as my Christmas gift to you for listening to this episode and the spirit of DSD, doing something different for the new year, I have actually opened up the widely popular Healthy Runner Strength Program, which has helped 480 runners to this day do something different by getting a stronger running body to run faster and stay healthy. This has not been available for purchase as a standalone product for 6 months now, since We launched the Healthy Runner Academy founding membership, and it is only accessible through our one-on-one coaching program. So if coaching is not for you, you already have a coach you work with, but they don't program strength specific workouts. You already have a PT you work with, but you want more than your prehab and rehab exercises that they've given you. And you want that structured strength training for running with my 16-week program I designed as a running physical therapist and coach, then this is for you. Not only is this program available for you to purchase, but I even made it easier for you to implement strength training for running because I really want you to succeed in your running goals this upcoming year. Clearly, if you're listening to this, you are a dedicated runner because you took the time, right? And you've actually listened to this whole training. I want to reward you for that. So I would love to give you $100 off using code STRONG100 using the link in the description. And that is literally 34% off the savings because I am so passionate and know that learning these structured workouts and implementing them. Now, if you need accountability and support, that is what our Winter Strong Body coaching program is all about. But this strength program, if you are a doer and you like structure and you will get it done, then this is the limited time offer in going to DSD and crush your running goals next year. However, like I said, we're going to keep this limited because I need you to take action, right? I'm just going to give you 1 week from the time that this airs so you can take that action, make a small investment in your running health to get stronger, run faster, and enjoy lifelong injury-free running. So I hope you do that. I hope you take me up on that offer so I can help you, quite frankly. To recap, the 4 things you can focus on as the new year approaches to help start the year strong, even if you didn't hit your running goals this year. Number 1, remind yourself that every runner faces lows. Number 2, shift your mindset to help you show up as an ambassador of an active lifestyle, even if you're not feeling your best. Number 3, make strategic changes to plan for next year. And you got to do that by reflection. What worked well, what didn't work well. And then number 4, demonstrate grace with yourself and practice gratitude, focusing on the process of training as a runner, especially when things aren't going as you expected. I really hope this training inspires you to stay dedicated to your growth as a runner, to maintain a strong mind, a strong body, so you can just keep running. And to wrap up, I want to circle back to gratitude because it's so important to practice, especially when things don't go as planned. The challenge is when things don't go as planned, it's very hard to be grateful. But here are 2 things I want you to be grateful for. Be grateful that you're still in the game of life and the game of running. If you're listening to this podcast on how to run healthy for both mind and body, you are still in the game. You are still committed. Be grateful for everything that has happened this year, the good, the bad, the ugly, because it all contributed to making you who you are at this very moment in your running journey. Don't lose the lessons. And at the end of the day, remember like why you got into this in the first place. You wanted to change yourself, right? Well, I guarantee you that you have done that this year. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now, you wanted to improve your health, your fitness, and life. Hopefully, you've made strides in that direction and you wanted to be a better human, make an impact on those closest to you. I promise you, you have. And if there's something you really wanted to do that you haven't, now is the time to change it. Remember, like, you've got this. You're a runner, you're resilient, a problem solver, a go getter. This is just a bump in the road, my friend, not the end of your journey. Keep pushing forward, keep learning, and keep growing. I believe in you. And I can't wait to see what amazing things you'll accomplish in the coming year. That's it for today. If you found this helpful, please do share it with someone who also might need to hear these words and encourage them to keep moving forward. I hope this training inspires you to stay dedicated to your growth as a runner, to maintain a strong mind, a strong body, so you can just keep running. Today was all about flipping that mindset for the new year and looking at the big picture, zooming out a bit. For more specific tactical strategies, check out this video on 6 steps to building a stronger and more resilient running body.